It's there when things are quiet, not loud, not sharp, more like a pull you can't point to. You wake up with it already in your chest before you remember what day it is. Something feels slightly off, like you missed something important but don't know what it was. Your body feels stretched forward even when you're sitting still. There's a heaviness behind the ribs, not painful, just present. Breathing feels shallow without you meaning it to. You notice yourself staring at nothing for a few seconds longer than usual. It doesn't arrive with a clear story. There's no image you can hold on to, just a sense of absence, like a room where something used to be, but you can't remember what it looked like. You try to name it, and nothing fits. Not sadness, not grief, not hope either. It's softer and harder at the same time. A quiet ache that doesn't ask for attention, but doesn't leave. Your shoulders feel slightly rounded, like they've learned this shape. Your throat feels full, but not enough to cry. You feel it most when nothing is demanding you. When you're walking without a destination, when music plays and you don't change it, when the day slows down and there's space for it to surface. It feels like wanting without an object, reaching without knowing what your hands are meant to hold. There's a faint sense of remembering something that never fully becomes a memory. Your body stays alert in a low way, not anxious, just watchful, as if something might appear if you stay still long enough. You notice time stretching. Minutes pass differently here. There's no rush inside this feeling, but there's no rest either. It sits with you, patient, unresolved. You don't know what to do with it, so you don't do anything. You let it sit where it sits. In the chest, in the stomach, in the quiet spaces between thoughts. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't demand answers. It's just here, and you're here inside it. It changes how you move through ordinary days. You keep yourself busy without really deciding to. You fill time so there's less room for the feeling to stretch out. You scroll longer than you mean to. You replay the same songs. You walk the longer way home. You linger in places that don't ask anything from you. Sometimes you start things and don't finish them. Not because you don't care, but because the pull inside you shifts your attention before you can settle. You hesitate when people ask what's wrong, not because you want to hide, but because you don't have words that feel true. So you say nothing, or I'm fine, or you change the subject. You nod along in conversations while something else keeps tugging at you from underneath. You laugh at the right moments. You respond when expected. You stay just engaged enough not to worry anyone. This feeling makes you reach outward in small ways. You look for something familiar, old photos, old places, old versions of yourself. You revisit memories without meaning to, not for comfort exactly, but to check if something is still there. Sometimes you stay up later than you planned, as if night might offer something the day didn't. Sometimes you go to bed early, hoping sleep will pause the wanting for a while. You become careful with joy. When something good appears, you touch it lightly, like it might disappear if you lean too hard. You don't fully settle into it. Part of you stays angled toward what's missing. You notice beauty more than before, but it comes with a sting, a reminder that you want something more, or something else, or something you can't quite remember. This longing shapes your choices quietly. You delay decisions, you keep options open. You avoid closing doors, even small ones. You wait, without knowing what you're waiting for. You tell yourself you'll feel different later. You give yourself time again and again. None of this feels dramatic from the outside. You still show up, you still function. But underneath, your days are organized around this unnamed pull. You live slightly forward of yourself, always leaning toward something just out of reach, even when your hands are empty. It costs you energy in a way that's hard to explain. Not exhaustion exactly, more like a slow drain. You wake up already carrying something. Even on days when nothing is wrong, simple things take more effort than they used to. Making plans, answering messages, deciding what to eat. You move through the day a little heavier, like part of your strength is always pointed somewhere else. It costs you presence. You're there, but not all the way. Moments pass and you notice them just after they've happened. Conversations end and you realize you were listening through a thin layer of distance. People talk and you follow, but a part of you is turned inward, tracking the feeling, checking if it's shifted, hoping it might maim itself. Sometimes you miss small connections because you're half elsewhere. It costs you closeness, not because you don't care, but because it's hard to explain what you're carrying. You don't want to burden anyone with something you can't describe, so you keep it to yourself. You become good at holding it quietly. Over time, that quiet holding creates space between you and others. Not a dramatic distance, just enough that you feel slightly alone even when you're not. It costs you trust in yourself. You start to wonder why you can't just settle, why something always feels unfinished. You question your own contentment. When things are stable, you wait for the restlessness to show up. When things are good, you brace for the ache underneath them. You stop fully believing your own ease when it appears, because you know how quickly the longing returns. It costs you rest. Even when you stop moving, the feeling stays awake. Your body lies down, but something inside remains alert. You carry the sense that something is unresolved, even if you don't know what it is. That unfinished quality follows you into quiet moments, into pauses, into the space where rest should live. None of this announces itself loudly. There's no breaking point, no clear loss you can point to. Just the ongoing weight of carrying something unnamed, day after day. You don't collapse under it, you adapt. But adapting takes something from you too, and that cost adds up, slowly, quietly, in ways only you can feel. Right now, you're still here with it. The longing hasn't lifted. It hasn't turned into clarity or relief or understanding. It's still there, in your body, in the same places it's been. But something about this moment is different from the ones before it. You're not reaching for it as much. You're not leaning forward, trying to catch it or name it. You're sitting closer to where you actually are. You notice your body more clearly. The way your weight settles instead of pulling ahead of you. The way your breath moves without being watched. The way the ache is present but not spreading. It hasn't gone away, but it isn't filling everything either. It exists alongside other sensations now. The feel of the floor, the temperature of the room, the quiet sounds that were always there, but easier to miss when the pull was stronger. You're not trying to make sense of the longing in this moment. You're not searching your past or scanning your future for answers. You're not asking yourself what it means. You let it be what it is right now. A feeling, a presence, something that lives with you, not something you have to solve. That creates a small steadiness, even if you wouldn't call it calm. You're aware that you're tired of carrying it alone. Not in a dramatic way, just a soft recognition. The kind that doesn't demand action, it simply notices the weight. You don't push that thought away, you don't follow it either. You let it pass through like the others. There's a pause here, not the kind that leads somewhere, just a pause where nothing is required of you. You're not being asked to understand yourself better. You're not being asked to change. You're not being asked to feel differently. You're allowed to be unfinished in this exact way. You might still feel tender. You might still feel open. The longing hasn't left your life. But in this moment, you're standing a little more fully in your own body. You're not disappearing into the ache. You're not fighting it either. You're here, with it, and with yourself at the same time. Nothing needs to come next. This isn't a turning point. It's just where you are now. Longing still present. You still present too. Both existing in the same space. Both allowed to stay. This is where you are now. Still remembering. Still carrying. Still here.